Hello, welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go. And of course, being so overwhelmed by all of the stories that just come out so rapidly, I think the one that grabbed me was the Jean Carroll story about the DOJ is investigating her for perjury, which is it's a big nothing burger, I think. And then there's the whole, in the contrast to her, there's the whole Bari Weiss thing with people just dropping like flies. So as I go into their stories, of course, one of the cards of the year is the moon. It's the moon card, and it is the psyche of the toxicity of Maga, which represents toxic masculinity. It's about the weaponization of women, and it's all with Bari Weiss, and it's about re-victimizing the Jean Carroll to basically to, even though it's about a question as to who funded her defense, which is kind of like no big deal. It really has nothing to do with the case at all. It is to make her a liar, and a big slap in the face to women that have been victimized by sexual assault. And I think it's hit a lot of people personally. So before I get into this has been another big talk. It seems as though the algorithms for YouTube has been really not favoring progressives, and I think there's other groups involved too, because I've been hearing this from you know, the more esoteric woo-woo people like Marianne of Revealing Light Tarot brought this up, but then I've heard Midas Touch and Adam Mockler and the rest of those people with the more not so esoteric, the more straight journalism kind of channels that have been saying that. So, you know, I usually don't ask this, but I would say I'm looking for views and subscriptions and all of that, and likes, and a comment would help. This. I'm going to keep on going in spite of this, but I'm looking into some other platforms too, where I might get some more views. And it's not about the money, it's about just getting the word out, basically. Okay, so as I say, we're brought to you by the moon tonight. And you know, as far as the like the whole Bari Weiss thing is, I personally can't stand her, what she's done to CBS, but then she does fit in the mold of CBS with what they did to Stephen Colbert. And you know, I won't watch any. I mean, there were programs on CBS I liked, like the new Matlock, and I don't know if it's on the Equalizer with Queen Latifah taking the place of that English dude that was on in the 80s. I mean, there's some good, but I just won't watch it. And I was thinking of subscribing to Paramount because of shows like that, but I don't want anything to do with them either. So I believe that we have a very big power. It doesn't seem as though we do. We can just refuse to consume anymore. And there has been, you know, social media. I've seen a gazillion posts on Facebook about it's time to not watch CBS, not only the news, just not watch CBS period anymore. So you know, that is the power that we have. But the thing about, you know, this whole Bari Weiss thing is, of course, she has to be from Pittsburgh, and I didn't know her because she lived she grew up in Squirrel Hill decades after I did. But Yeah, it's so typical of the way that some of these women are being used, because she decided, oh, yeah, we're not going to have woke on CBS, and here she is. Um, people have left, like Anderson Cooper. Then there was Sharon Alfonsi, who did the story about the deportees to that Salvadoran prison, and that she yanked off the air. That, I think, that really brought some big attention, although there was all that stuff with the New York Times. I would say go read her bio. It's really something else. Yeah, but the fact that she is in a vulnerable group, and I can't, but history has taught us, if you're in a marginalized group, don't think you're the magical representation and it won't touch you. So I think she's fancied herself as the magical lesbian, and she's married. I think she's married to a woman, and she's supporting people that would destroy that. I just don't get. It's like the Caitlyn Jenner, who thinks she's the magic transgender and can't even use a passport. So you just wonder what's in these people's minds at any rate. So also, I was thinking, they would probably keep her for on CBS for a really long time, because she's towing the line. I mean, they capitulated to, oh, this is another advice. I will not mention him by name because I think it messes up the algorithms, but Diaper Boy and Kanks, whatever. That stupid, they bent the knee to him in that lawsuit. So I've lost all respect for CBS. And first it was the news, and then just CBS as a whole. They can just go screw off for all I care. But, I'm connecting these two women because they do show the different sides. Now, the whole thing is to, it's like the abortion thing. Let's take women back to the 50s, where if you're rich, they'll ship you off to the UK, or it used to be Mexico. Or you can find the expensive doctor who has his suite in a fancy schmancy hotel, or you go to the back alley. So they're taking us back to that. But with the E. Jean Carroll, that's a big slap, as I said, a big slap in the face to any woman that's been assaulted sexually, in that it's going back to the era. Well, we don't believe the woman. We just so we'll say she lied on this thing, and then we're going to have to assume she lied on everything. I personally don't think that's going to fly at all. Um, I don't see. I don't even see her getting indicted. I mean, in the event she did, I don't see that there's a jury that. First of all, the worst that could happen to her is a hung jury. That's and I mean, even that's really stretching it, which means that, when a jury hangs and you realize it's just going to be more of the same. They really don't want to bother um refiling unless there's new evidence, and there won't be. So this is the worst that could happen. I don't even think but if it got to trial, I think, a judge would probably throw it out with prejudice, which means that double jeopardy hits in, and that's it. Curtains, they're done. And if I don't even, and if it hit the jury, I could see them out for a cup of coffee and they're back. Not guilty. Okay, so we have the moon card. So let's see what our secondary card is. Ooh, I feel like dicking with this one. Okay. Oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to say there's a couple meanings. I think this is the DOJ having decided, since it's in reverse. Oh, I think they were probably torn, thinking like, what are we going to re-investigate her, try to indict her on, and and I don't think they could make up their mind. So they thought, oh, there's that little discrepancy with the, who, but they said so and so was financing it, but it turned out it was a foundation. Foundations, the ACLU, all of those things, they get in on these cases, and half the time the defendants don't even know. So okay, so and they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she maliciously lied to have the outcome of, and they're not going to be able to prove. So they made up their mind, but they've got the blindfold on. They cannot see that this is futile because their Fuhrer wants to get back at her. That is what that is all about. And so in the case of, I think in the case of the Bari Weiss thing with the Two of Swords in reverse, is that she's just, and this is a little slightly new interpretation, she's got the blindfold on and she's just wielding those swords, going right and left, not knowing what the hell she's doing. And she can't see. Now I think the way, somehow I keep thinking she could get fired. I'm thinking that if they lose a lot of viewership, that they will then that's when she'll realize she's no longer the magic lesbian. They will throw her under the bus so fast that she won't know it hit her. Okay, so I'm trying to okay, so I think I want to I thought, well, should I read on these two women together since they do seem kind of connected, or do separate readings? Let's see. Um So this is a cautionary tale to women. Like I'll tell you, I'm really over the white Christian woman with the red hat. So over them completely. The thing is that being Jewish, which apparently was like 70-80% of Jewish women voted for Harris. So that does not put us in the category of the white woman, thank God. Okay. There used to be an expression in the 50s, I think that's coming back. It was like in the world of the beatniks and hipsters. And they would say, carrying on like a white woman. And to see some of these screaming MAGA broads and, you know, all this sort of thing, it finally brings the whole true meaning to that expression. So, okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see if we can, okay, don't go black screen on me. Okay, so, okay, let me pull a card and then I can see what direction we're going to go with this. So we have got, oh, our main card is the Five of Cups. Okay, is that the Five of Cups? Yeah, the Five of Cups. That's the minor arcana death card. I like to think of it as it's regrets. It's really living in the regrets. I would say that I think I want to put these two together. I think what I want to do is put them together, as in looking at the weaponization and the re-victimization of women. I think all of this is starting to form some kind of regret among a lot of people. You'll see a lot of them crying. A lot of them have the southern twang, A lot of them you see them crying on YouTube because their families have forsaken them. So there's a lot of that regret going on, and I think they're crying over, we've got the family that doesn't want to have anything to do with them. We got the groceries, the gas thing going on there yet, but they don't realize that they have been weaponized, and that could possibly be, and I think a lot of them have been abused too. I think a lot of them came from that. That's why they can, that's why they can kind of relate. It's a big Stockholm syndrome thing. That's why they can relate to the diaper dawn and all this sort of thing. So a lot of times the people that have had abusive childhoods, that's who they pick to get married. So let's see, what is the energy? This is interesting. You've got the Three of Cups, which is the celebratory, which is interesting because these women, after the election, felt celebratory. They really felt, I think what they're trying to do is maybe get back to that, but this is pretty powerful. Oh boy, we really want to see what's going on below this. Okay. Oh, victimization, martyrdom, your own thoughts are you're really, I think this is a conflict, actually. The conflict of living to regret this. It only took some of them till Thanksgiving or sooner. So this is kind of like the short-lived celebration, because basically came from being stuck in victimhood, self-pity, and but not coming up with any solutions for it. I think a lot of these people, they're the ones that really resent the Eugene Carrolls, the ones that fight back, because I think the fact is that they can't. Okay, so then we have the Hierophant, the indoctrination. You see he's got his little, followers. So they've got it's all the institutions, the religion, and all this bullshit that has really poisoned that. Now, I don't know if any of them have enough deep thinking to question it, but it's got to be going down there in the subconscious. Okay, so then we have Ace of Swords in reverse, which is really problematic because these people, when they're given solutions, they always go back to the lie. And I think the thing is, it goes back to being abused and thinking, okay, he beat me up last night, but he brought me flowers today, so he's never going to do it again. So they go for the lie again. And this is why people like Kanks and company they can come back, because it's the whole thing with the Eugene Carroll thing is, let's make her a victim again so she'll be so helpless. Because even if they were to convict her, I don't even think she'd go to prison for this. But I'm what this is telling me is that I'm starting to think that they really know that this is a big load of bullshit investigation. But what they want to do is throw her off balance psychologically. They pretty much have Bari Weiss where they want her, because I think what I'm getting from the spirit team is that in the case with Bari White, they were saying, look, you're a token lesbian and you're Jewish too and all this stuff. And, you're here at our discretion, so to speak. So there's kind of like a sword hanging. Oh, there you look at these swords. There's like a sword hanging over. We've got swords, we've got cups, we've got emotions, and then we've got, the guru here, the indoctrination, the rigidity of the Hierophant. Okay, so in opposition, let's see if we have this is kind of an opposing. It's the energy, but it's the opposing thing, because they thought they were going to celebrate, but this is the bigger thing. Okay, so here we have the Queen of Pentacles. Of course, this is an opposition. I'm going to say this is probably the this is the Jean Carroll card because she's grounded. She was, she is, and the queens have usually been through some pretty rough times. It just depends whether they're upright or reverse as to how they deal with it. But that this woman here has become very savvy, smart in business and in the material world. I'll tell you, Jean Carroll, she's 82 years old. She looks, and yeah, I don't see a lot of plastic surgery. She looks good. She looks older, but she looks like she's taken very good care of herself. And from what I understand, that she's not going to be going to, Bloomingdale's and Bergdorf's and blowing the whole wad and, going to, she's going to be using these funds to help women who don't have the means to help themselves. So this is definitely the Queen of Pentacles, and that's the thing, is they consider her a threat. Whereas with the Bari Weisses, they want to pick someone, I'm just realizing they pick someone who is societally has a couple of strikes against her. And so that they figure they can control her. Okay, so I'm glad I'm able to combine these two. So, okay, so, okay, so on the conscious level, and this is kind of something that women need to realize. On the conscious level, we have 10 of Pentacles, which is health and abundance. And I think the family figures in here, well, it's like the woodland creatures kind of thing, but this is usually about the family cooperation and building abundance. So I would say that a big message is that the healthy women, like the women who went for Harris, hate to say it, no, I don't hate to say, basically the women that, the progressive women, the left-leaning women, stick together to can build healthy and abundant movement. So this again goes back to women are going to be the driving force, and a lot of them are going to be the ones that are now spilling their guts about Epstein. So in both of my cards of the year, Epstein is very much part of the illustration of death and the moon card. Okay, so on the subconscious level, we have the High Priestess. So that is, it's the whole thing with you got the Bari Weiss thing with the, we're kind of like distorting the whole CBS thing. And it's very much in the material world, and it's about making money and having it be like a more sophisticated Fox News. And then you've got the Jean Carroll thing, who a lot of what it's not about, because she's able to make a living and take care of herself. It is about putting that money to a good use, and that is a very spiritual principle. I would say that it's a kind of spirituality, especially in this card, the way the illustration of this card. It's very much about true spirituality and getting a sense of oneself, as opposed to that Bible-thumping, evangelical, really god-awful stuff. So this is going deep down, and it is a spiritual quest for women. A lot of these, a lot of these things, these political movements and people fighting for rights, It's no accident. Martin Luther King had a whole bunch of spiritual people around him, Gandhi, all of them, that it is a big spiritual principle. Whereas the evangelicals, they're all about hypocrisy and trying to control your life. So, okay. So the underlying thing is spirituality. Okay, and the spiritualists say we're big in the abolition and the women's suffrage movement. So there is that element that's the ones that aren't probably talking about it that much are the ones that are really spiritual because they're walking the talk basically. And that's kind of looks like what she's doing here. Okay, so let's see. In the past, we have. See, this is the whole thing. Everything's been happening so fast. I mean, one news day, you look at just a brief rundown of the news of what all that stuff with that shit he screwing up the White House and all this sort of thing. Then we were at peace with Iran. We're not at peace. They're bombing the shit out of God knows what in the Middle East. All this stuff is going on. Then you do have E. Jean Carroll. I think part of the E. Jean Carroll thing is to divert away from all the diversions of their fuck ups in trying to divert from Epstein. But the thing is, since this is sexual assault, boom, those arrows are going to go right back to Epstein. That's the way it's been in the past, and it doesn't look like it's going to change that much. So, okay, so let's move on over to the present. Interesting. Things are moving forward. I would say with Bari Weiss, she's moving forward like a freight train that's derailing. And but with E. Jean Carroll, you can bet her legal team is back in full force, and they've already been making an account, talking about what a bunch of bullshit. But see, the thing is that, and this is a female figure, which is interesting. There's a female figure in the chariot, and it is a major arcana. The whole thing with the women, I'm not talking about the douchebag MAGA women, but let's say the more enlightened women we're moving forward. This is the whole energy. It's a female energy that is, it's a force that's, it's a force that it's in motion, and it's not going to stop. So coming up in the near future with all of this, we have the Knight of Wands. Sometimes I think he's kind of like the human version. He's young and he's rash. I also go, it's interesting because I love that Keith Edwards because he's so snarky. He's like a man after my own heart. He was saying, finally the Democrats are they're fighting back with the playbook about talking about, Steve Miller is like an ugly dude and his wife is crying. It's like they can dish it out and can't take it. So I would say even if it goes a little bit too far, I think we need to, this is what I've been complaining about. Democrats need to set themselves on fire. I think a lot of this is going to, because the lesson is you play nicey nice, they'll be all over you. So it's time to give them a bit of their own medicine. Even if some people cringe, I'd say to hell with them, let them cringe, So so that was refreshing to hear that, and I agree with him. It's got to happen. You may not like it. I love it, to tell you the truth. It's got to happen. Give them a taste of their own medicine. So looking a little bit more in the future, we have, just when you think you've heard everything, more is going to be revealed. This is like compared to the burning bush. It's on fire. I think that with these, in the case of these two women, like Bari Weiss may not want to report on Epstein, but I'm telling you, those other outlets get some hot dishy dish on him. It's going to be really hard, for someone that's supposed to be a news person to hang it, to suppress that story. That's going to burn her butt, pretty sure. So I'm, it's like the whole Epstein thing, because the thing is that now they have with they're deciding to go after Carroll. Is it now the whole thing back to the sexual abuse? It's like, and I sometimes think of this as a Pandora's box to this particular illustration, is that if they're really, and it relates to this too, they're really going to regret that, because then it brings up other people's stories and they're going to come out of the woodwork. All these assholes are going to be implicated. So they may really live to regret opening up, which is telling me they're being desperate and not too bright. Okay. So let's go on to the hope. Well, I think we're going on to the hopes. I think this is a good lead into the hopes and the fears. Hopes and fears. Okay. The Page of Cups. Okay, so this is about, it's about new, they're messengers, and he brings messages of kind of like more on a emotional and a spiritual thing. It's a renewing of emotions. And this is a young person. I'm going to say a lot of these people that are young are going to be speaking out. So the hope is that those of us in the Eugene Carroll camp are really going to hope these people do come out of the woodwork with all the Epstein stuff and everything. But it's the fear on the Bari Weiss side of the fence, is that, or those people that want to have their Maga news station, is that it really screws them up royally, because they really can't, the what they can do is kind of like sit on the story. They can't really, you get into a very, very delicate waters when you go after someone that was young and abused in a horrific way. And I think that's their fear, because they're not going to know what the hell to do with that. So that's an interesting hope and fear. So I think this is young people, or the people that were they're telling the tale of the emotional thing that this did. So let's see, as far as this goes, let's see now how we see ourselves through all this, because I think these are two very big women stories. The weaponization, and that weaponizing of, she's going to live to regret it. I'm telling you, Bari Weiss is going to really live to she calls herself a centrist. I think that's a lot of horse manure. Okay, so how we see ourselves with all of this. Okay. This is an interesting thing, because this did come up before. We've got our good old friend, the Eight of Swords here. So, we may be, a lot of us, well, the thing is that now it takes on a little different meaning. With the Eugene Carroll stuff being dredged up again, I think a lot of women that were victimized are going to start to see the victimhood. Now, some people may think that's a bad thing, but in order to go through some change and to heal from this, you really do need to get into that. You need to own how you were a victim of this whole thing. But then once you do that, then you've got to hope, get this card into reverse. and, release yourself from it. But in order to do that, you have to kind of embrace it and to experience what you did, hopefully with a good therapist. So women are going to be seeing that the whole victim thing, it's rough, because it's going to open up a lot of stuff for women. Let's see, how is the rest of the world seeing this? Okay, well, here's our other card of the year. There, I think the rest of the world is saying, as far as all of this stuff goes with CBS losing, I mean, they're loser. They lost Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper's been on 60 Minutes since, he wasn't there in the beginning, obviously, but he's been on there for many years, and for him to leave, and she's just axing them right and left. That is the death I say that the death is it's the march, it's the death march, it's the death march of a regime. Could be the death march of CBS as well, too. But along with this, with the reopening of the wounds that the Eugene Carroll case brings out, it gives people that have gone through that time to change their relationships. They're going to have to face things and drop some old ideas and people and places of things. And that's what the death card is all about. So people, the way others are seeing us is that they're seeing these Americans are just going to have to shed a lot of old stuff. They're going to have to give up how they see religion. They're going to have to, they're going to have to give up this government. They're just going to have to give up a lot of things, that have been just drummed into them. So I think the world is seeing that this is just, probably are cheering, because they're seeing both of these women in the both ways as the march of death of this. And believe me, the rest of the world, unless they're absolute fascists, when they've got their share of other parts of the world, but most reasonable people, they want to see the death of this. So these stories are, they are contributing to that. So I do a little conclusion read here. So yeah, I just knew these two women that, it's like the yin and the yang kind of deal here. So let's see. Let me get these little guys out here, because I use the two smaller decks to wrap this up. Okay, so. Oops. Put them back in the right deck. Okay. Get these all shuffled up. Yeah, because it just occurred to me today. I was so angry hearing about this Eugene Carroll, and then there was some, there's some talk about, is Bari Weiss going to last? She's serving their purposes now. I really think they'll shit can her when she no longer does. So they'll make her life so miserable. Because she bailed from the New York Times. I think no one could stand her over there from what I read. But at any rate, I don't know that Pittsburgh would welcome her back with open arms either. Because, having grown up in the first part of my childhood in Squirrel Hill, it's a liberal Jewish area. It is. It's very liberal. Even the, I used to divide the Reform and the Orthodox Jews. The first Obama thing, they were, for McCain, the Orthodox Reform. And the second one, I saw all these yarmulkes with their, Obama buttons saying, well, I guess I can't put people into a category anymore. So, okay, alrighty. Okay, so to conclude, our main card is, The Knight of Cups in reverse. You know what? This is the guy. This is the stalker guy. This is the guy that has these blown out, romantic, obsessive views of women. I would say both of these represent, this is the toxic, emotional toxic, kind of the dark side of romantic malehood. That's perfect. This is, yeah, this is the men. They want to control the Bari Weisses, so they pick someone who's got a marginalized sexual preference. And then they want to, re-prosecute. They want to prosecute Jean Carroll to control her in a way. I don't think they're going to succeed in doing that, no matter what happens. Okay, so the energy crossing that is interesting. In the last one, it was upright. This is, when these guys do this, women have very little reason to celebrate. This is kind of the abusive male, and these are the women that have been abused. Cups in reverse, those are the ones that you might see at a bar on, I haven't been to a bar on Friday night in years. These are the ones you might see at a bar on Friday night while their husbands or boyfriends, they're out with the boys, they're out with the girls, they might even be wearing those stupid fucking red hats, and they're getting totally shit-faced. Totally, to escape their miserable, horrible Maga dudes. That's what they're doing. Okay. I guess we're seeing the dark side of this. And we're seeing the dark side of this. This is where it all began, and this is where it's going to end, hopefully. So we're going to pull some cards here. So we've got, we have got, Ace of Pentacles. So for a while, they have felt a pinch in the pocketbook with the gas and the groceries. And I mean, every bill, the gas bill's gone up. Everything has gone up. Everything has gone up. So it's a loss of money. It's also a loss of health, too. Mental health as well. So this is in the past. And this is bubbling up to the surface. But with these people, they don't give a shit until it happens to them. Okay, then we have here, King of Pentacles. This is our Kanks boy here, the corrupt king. And this is the reason they can't have nice things. The corrupt thing with his, see, all this other shit comes in, like his thing with the IRS, which is being fought in court, and the judges are not too sympathetic to him. And it's all about his new thing with the newborn baby and buying money with his kisser on it. It's just like too nauseating. Another way, another grift. So this is kind of like a big cesspool spread. Okay, then we have here Page. Interesting, they're all in reverse. And you can see I shuffle them like a poker shuffle. The Page of Pentacles in reverse. This is the immature guy that spends his money, I don't know, on guns or shit like that. Drives the big pickup truck that just guzzles, like, must cost like $200 or $300 to fill the tank. And, it's like from a very immature self-gratification, material things will fix me. So I'm going to say this is what people are starting. This is what people are going to be starting to see with this. Then we have, again with the corruption, like, I'll help you, but, you're going to pay for it. Okay. Then we have I'd say that this is the Russian influence. The Russian influence coming in. It all comes back to Epstein and Russia, and I think those two things are tied together. And then we have, okay, it seems like all of these people are absolutely getting away with murder, but karma's going to come in when karma needs to come in. So it will happen. It's not happening as fast as you want. I think that's a good place to end. So it will happen, which is telling me that perhaps with these women, I think CBS is going to have to absolutely get destroyed before they kick that, whatever that is, out. And also that Jean Carroll, she hasn't gotten a dime of that money. I think she probably will. I mean, God only knows, who has grifted and he's made billions. He doesn't have to collect a salary. That money is that salary would be just his depends budget for the year, So, at any rate, so I would say the story of these two women really, really, it's really important, because women are, I think they're afraid that the women are going to come in and turn this around. So these two women represent how they're going to try to not make that happen, but it just isn't going to work, because when we realize the toxicity that this whole thing comes for control, and yeah, let the girls have their night out and get drunk and abuse alcohol and drugs. That's we can end up controlling them anyway. So if you can see all of this, that this is what gets, that's what you get. If you know the battle, you know how to fight it. So I would say that this is just part of the thing that is going to dismantle it. Plus, it really does show through the moon this kind of toxic male and toxic female mentality with Bari Weiss's and these white red-hatted women types that probably came from abusive fathers, and they have abusive husbands, and it's a big mess. But I think to see the toxicity of it all, and to know what you're dealing with. So these two women, what's going on, they will represent. Now I have maybe Bari Weiss will see the light. Who knows? I think she's just acting completely. I don't think she believes half of this shit that CBS wants to shove down our throats, but she's going for the payday. That's what it's all about. And in denial that they won't toss her as soon as she's no longer useful. So at any rate, but then I think we have to be inspired by the courage of the Jean Carrolls and all these women who are coming forth with their Epstein stories. So with that, I'm going to sign off for now. So bye.